Hey everybody, Sean Astin here. I'm very excited to be back on Kickstarter because I found a project that is extraordinary. It's special and we need your help in order to make it. This is my friend Mark Marshall. We worked together on The Goonies almost 30 years ago. We've been more than friends, almost family ever since. And this book that you sent me is about a boat called the Sultana and an unbelievably devastating thing that happened to it.
On April 27th, 1865, just after 2 o'clock in the morning, the middle larboard boiler of the steamboat Sultana exploded. Of the 2,300 soldiers and the few passengers that were on board, over 1,800 of them died.
The Sultana had more deaths and more destruction of human life than most of the battles that you've heard of in the Civil War. Yet less than 2% of all Americans have ever even heard of it.
The single biggest maritime disaster in the history of our country is a story that nobody knows, and with your backing dollars, you can help make sure that everybody hears this story.
The Sultana story is one of the most incredible historical events in American history that nobody knows about.
It touched me, not just because of the Civil War connection, but just because such an important event was lost in history.
They survived the American Civil War. They survived Cahaba and Andersonville prison camps. The war was over and they were on their way home, and they were virtually murdered by their own forces.
The boat may have exploded because of a weak boiler, but the death that ensued of 1,800 souls occurred because of corruption, greed on the part of the boat owners and captain, and the malfeasance and dereliction of duty of the Union officers who overloaded this boat.
Because the steamboat line was paid $5 a head for soldiers and $10 a head for officers, it was to their economic advantage to load the boat as fully as possible. But that meant maybe 500 soldiers at the most on a boat that was designed to carry 376 total passengers and crew. But they loaded the boat with 2,300 Union soldiers.
People who love history, who teach history, who learn history, have an obligation to help other people learn about the Sultana.
The drama, the love story, conspiracy. You could not write a fictional account of a disaster that would be any more compelling than the true facts.
It sent hundreds of men to their deaths in the water or into the fire that ensued.
These men that died deserve their place in history, much like the people that lost their lives at Gettysburg and Appomattox and Shiloh.
This is actually the worst marine disaster in our country's history, and our memories are their only graves.
This is a story that has to be remembered. We're committed to telling the story, but we need your help.
The 1,800 or so who died and the 500 to 600 who survived still cry out through their descendants for recognition.
Sultana needs to be commemorated and remembered, and it does need to be afforded its proper place in the history of the United States.
Tell them about your hat.
This is a very special little hat. Remember the Sultana is the rallying cry for the descendants. It's a call to action. The descendants simply want people to remember the Sultana, remember the sacrifice of these men. Everyone who has heard the story, from Sean to Jim Michaels, our other executive producer, to Jeff Hoopingarner, our director, have become passionate about the story when they hear it. We believe that when you hear about the story, when you learn more about the story through this Kickstarter page, you will become passionate as well. And we hope that your rallying cry will become Remember the Sultana and your call to action as well.
Remember the Sultana.
Remember the Sultana.